Hi everybody, I'm Richard. Welcome back to Small Caliber Arms Review. Today we're going to be taking a look at another $100 semi-automatic 22. And to me this is probably the answer of what would happen if the Ruger 1022 and the Savage 62F had a baby. And I think this would be the result, and I'll show you why. Okay, here I've got the Ruger 1022 and the Savage 62F. This is the Rossi RS22 in the middle. And you can see the Savage and the Rossi both have the stick style magazine. If you look at the receivers though, on both the Rossi and the 1022, they're both pretty similar. They both have cross bolt safeties. A little bit different on the Savage 62. All three of these are semi-autos. They're all 22s. They're all pretty cheap models, with the exception of the 1022. That's about a $200 rifle is what I paid for this. Both of these are 99 bucks on sale. This one shares a lot of similarities with a pellet gun, a break barrel style pellet gun. It does have fiber optic sights on it. It's got a protected one on the front. Adjustable for both elevation and windage on the back there. It's semi-auto. These are empty. The magazines between the Rossi, well, this one's kind of a pain to get out sometimes, I do believe, and the Savage, they're both pretty similar, same shape and everything, but the Rossi one, or the Savage one, is a little bit bigger, and it's kind of a cast material where this is a stamped steel. But we're going to get this Rossi out on the range and see how it does. Now it does have a little bit shorter barrel than the Savage does, probably about 2 inches shorter. But we're going to get it out there, try it out, see how it does. And the nice thing about the Rossi is it only weighs 4 pounds, so it's a pretty light rifle. It is a polymer stock, so it's a pretty good choice for dragging out there in bad weather, doing some rabbit hunting or groundhog or whatever. Let's get it out there and give it a try. All right, I've got the Rossi RS22 out here. I've got some Winchester Super X. These are 40 grain, 1255 feet per second. We're gonna go ahead and take the first few shots up at the 100-yard target and see how it does. Well, let's see what we had going on here. Try that again. All right, bolt lock's open on the last round. We'll go ahead and load 10 more rounds up of the Winchester and see how it does. It looks to me, I could see some of the impacts up there. It looks to me like it's probably shooting a little high. Now, I haven't adjusted anything. This is straight out of the box. Loaded up a magazine, stuck it in there and went with it. We'll get it dialed in there and see how it does. And then I've got the target set up over here at 10 yards. We'll see how it does for accuracy, shooting off sandbags at 10 yards. There we go. All right, there was the 10 rounds there. It is shooting just a little bit to the right, so I'll get that adjusted, then we'll do some 10-yard shots at the target over here. All right, we're gonna give accuracy a try now. All right, let's go take a look at those 10 shots right at the same target. Looks like I'm hitting a little high and to the right, but let's give it a look. All right, there it is, 10 shots right there, all in a tight little group there, not where I was aiming at, but I just got to adjust the sights to get that where it needs to be. And It's only an 18-inch barrel on there, but still, that's a pretty good group, even though it's only 10 yards. Just adjust the sights, get it where it needs to be, and it'll probably be a pretty good shooter. All right, now that was all the Winchester that I had. We'll go ahead and throw some 22 Thunderbolts in there and give it another try at the 10-yard target there. I'm not a big fan of the way the magazine comes out. It seems like you should be able to pull up on the mag release, but you actually kind of push it forward toward the magazine to get it to pull out. So if you grab with your thumb and pull down, it's okay. It's a little stiff though. Looks like I still need to go down a little bit more and to the right, but I'm getting closer to it. Take 5 more on another target. Getting closer. All right, I believe I got it dialed in right where it needs to be. I'm gonna take 5 more shots and we'll take a look at everything I've done there. Didn't want to bore you with a whole bunch of back and forth and everything, but let's do this. All right, we're gonna take this thing, take a look at the targets, see what we got. All right, altogether the grouping on this thing is great. There was my first 10 shots right there. I was aiming for there, but you can see it's a decent group. It just needed to be moved down and over. Then another 5 shot. I got it closer, got it right there in the middle. A little bit of movement from me, but still pretty good grouping, and it's hitting pretty much where I'm aiming at. This probably explains why I was missing so much on the 100-yard target. I'm gonna go ahead and take a few more shots at it and see how it does. Seems to do just great once you got it all dialed in there. Now straight out of the box, like I said, I just took it out, loaded up the magazine, and went ahead and fired a few rounds. The sights were way off. I probably did about 20 clicks down on elevation and probably about 15 to 18 to the left to get it to be on target. But it seems to do pretty good. All right, my battery died while I was out there on the range, but we're gonna go ahead and take a look at this. I fired about 140 rounds through it out there and didn't have any issues with it. Once I got it sighted in and everything, it seemed to be a really good, accurate rifle. It's a good shooter. It is really light. It weighs 4 pounds, and although 22 long rifle doesn't have a lot of recoil, with such a light gun, it does jump a little bit, and you got to put it back on your target. Some of the other ones that I've got, the Ruger 1022 and the Savage 62F, it seems like they've got enough weight where you feel almost zero recoil. This one's got a little bit, and that's just because it's such a lightweight gun. But let's go ahead and get this thing taken apart. It's kind of a pain, but we're going to go through it real quick, and I've already cleaned it and everything, so I'll show you how it comes apart and goes back together. All right, there's a few things you're going to need when you disassemble this rifle. You will need a Phillips screwdriver, some sort of punch, and a small hammer, and probably a little wooden block to rest everything on when you go to drive those pins out. Go ahead and take the 2 screws out of the bottom there. They hold the action into the stock. Get those screws out. It's a pretty tight fit in there, so you can just kind of take and push everything through, lift the stock off there, set that to the side. You'll see the pins right down here holding the receiver and the trigger assembly together. Now you're going to want to drive these pins out from the left side to the right, at least that's what I've noticed on mine. So you've got your charging handle over there. You'll need a block to hold it up some. Go ahead and take your punch and your hammer and drive those pins out. Now you'll see, maybe you'll be able to see on here, these pins have a little serration on one end of them there, so that kind of grips into the receiver there. Now once you've got that apart, what you're going to want to do is take your bolt and pull it all the way back, not to the locking point, but beyond that, as far back as it'll go. Then you should be able to lift your trigger assembly right out of there. Once you've got that out, go ahead and let your bolt go forward, pick it up a little bit, and you should be able to take your bolt right out of there. Take your charging handle out, and you have a recoil spring and a guide rod in there. They go in a little hole on the back of the bolt right there, and they also go into a small hole in the receiver in the back there. There's also a little plastic piece in this one that rides in the back of the receiver, kind of a guide for the trigger assembly. It'll fit right in there. So we'll go ahead and put that back in there. Once you've cleaned everything up, make sure it's cleaned, lube it up a little bit with something. You don't want to get too much in there, because 22 long rifle being as dirty as it is, you'll get a lot of stuff to accumulate in there. Go ahead and get your guide rod and spring back in that hole. Try to keep it in the bolt. It should go in there pretty easily. This is not the easiest rifle to disassemble and everything, and like I said, it requires tools, so I'm not a big fan of any firearm that needs tools for disassembly. Put your charging handle back in there. Go ahead and push it down, make sure it slides. Pull it all the way back. Now you've got to hold it back, because there's a recessed area in here that your ejector assembly will slide down in. If you don't pull the bolt all the way back, it won't clear, it won't go down in there. Make sure all your pieces are back in there. Slide that straight down in there. You should be able to let your bolt go forward once you've got it lined up. Take your pins and put them in the opposite side. And go ahead and tap them in. Make sure they're flush right there. And once you've got that in there, you should be able to take your stock, line everything back up. It's a pretty snug fit in there, which is kind of nice. Get it in there, put your screws back in. After you've done this a few times, it's not that difficult to do. Things lining up is a little bit tricky, but in my opinion, a rifle that's easy to take apart and easy to maintain is going to remain more reliable, because it's going to be less of a chore to keep it clean, and you'll keep it in good working condition, and it'll remain reliable. If it's hard to clean, hard to take apart and clean, then you're not going to want to do it as much, and it's going to get gummed up. Check your function, and everything should be good again. Alright, as far as the low-cost 22 semi-automatics go, this is not a bad choice. It is definitely low cost. I paid $99.99 for this one. Got it at one of the farm stores local to me. It's a pretty good rifle. It's pretty accurate. It's got an 18-inch barrel on it. You can mount a scope on it. It has a 3/8 dovetail on the top of the receiver here that you can put it on. You'll have to get the right rings for it to go on there. No Picatinny rail anywhere on it. It does have swivel studs on it there for you to put a strap on it, and like I said, it only weighs 4 pounds, so it's a really easy one to carry around with you. It's a good gun. It's a good looking gun. It shoots great. It's only an 18-inch barrel, but it's pretty accurate. It is a free floated barrel, they say. It's a plastic stock, so you'll get a little bit of flex out of it. It may touch the barrel at some point, but it's a pretty good little rifle. It's definitely cheap. Now, if somebody wants to make a really good semi-auto 22, they need to make one that doesn't require any tools to disassemble. Those are my favorite kinds, because the easier it is to clean, the more apt you are to clean it and take better care of it, and it'll always remain reliable. As long as you can get it apart and get that carbon out and keep it clean, it'll be a good rifle. Not a bad choice if you're looking for one for a beginner. This is a pretty good one for it. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed taking a look at the Rossi RS22 with me. Thanks for watching Small Caliber Arms Review. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and go ahead and hit this button over here to check out some more of my videos. And thanks for watching Small Caliber Arms Review.